Behold, the most precious pearl in the poetry world, the book that made me believe the epistolary form is one of our most powerful and sacred forms, intellectually thrilling, intimate, direct, and alive. Arisa White's Who's Your Daddy? Hello, I'm Maddie Reese. I'm a playwright, Morrisonian scholar, and plant medicine advocate. This is episode 2 of Welcome to My Bookshelf. Grab a soft drink or your favorite form of cannabis if that's your jam, and tune in. I am careful with my declarations. I do not say this lightly. Arisa White is my favorite living poet, my favorite poet, period. Her work has been a touchstone to my life and a foundation for the way that I think about language. Arisa White is an associate professor of English and creative writing at Colby College. She is the author of Black Pearl and Who's Your Daddy, co-editor of Home is Where You Queer Your Heart, and co-author of Biddy Mason Speaks Up. A Cave Canem Fellow and interdisciplinary artist shaping contemporary poetry across genres, she is currently developing Postpartum, the opera with composer Jessica Jones. Who's Your Daddy was published in 2021 by Augury Books in Brooklyn, New York, where we are right now. The book went on to win the 2022 Golden Crown Literary Award, also known as the Goldie for poetry. It was also a finalist for the 2022 Lambda Literary Award for lesbian poetry and the 2022 Maine Literary Award for memoir. Who's Your Daddy is written in the epistolary form, a tradition with a long and rich literary history. Epistolary poetry takes the shape of letters and is structured through direct address to a specific recipient, whether living, absent, estranged, imagined, or even the self. That recipient may be a who, but it may also be a what, a where, or a why. The book is organized into 4 sections, each introduced by a Guyanese proverb. These sections trace formative experiences, including early childhood memories as young as age 3 and encounters with male figures deeply concerned with their own image, often revealing narcissistic tendencies. The disappointment that emerges from these relationships is diasporic in nature, tied to both familial dynamics and memories of growing up in Brooklyn. White also writes courageously about the seepage of dysfunctional familial dynamics into romantic relationships, revealing how early wounds and expectations reverberate across other forms of intimacy. This hybrid collection of prose and poetry becomes what White describes as a cosmology of experiences, a constellation of moments that maps expectations, absences, and the complicated offerings of parental figures whose gestures are often self-indulgent, slighted, or incomplete, limited by their own capacities. One tension that I keep returning to in this text is the disorientation around safety, particularly the disentangling of safety from father figures and parental authority. The child's perspective is hyper-observant, carefully reading emotional environments as a way of surviving within spaces, especially within the home, where safety is never fully guaranteed. There is also an immediate recognition of how the mother's romantic relationships affect her parenting. Desire and care become entangled in ways that the child must quietly interpret. I'm especially drawn to the way the older self writes from the vantage point of the younger self's experience. The child is already aware of how people react to her presence, reactions that are often racially charged. In one moment, as a first grader, she sees her teacher look over her shoulder as she writes on the blackboard, insinuating that her Guyanese gold bangles are too loud in the classroom. In both public and private spaces, children are treated as spectacle. More intimately, the sibling perspective helps fill in some of these gaps, and when placed alongside parents' reactions, the narrative produces a kind of energetic dissonance. There is a rhythm of tension that runs beneath these memories. Memory in this text is deeply sensorial. It does not appear only as narrative recollection, but as atmosphere. Yet even as memory is sensorial, it is not always clear. White describes memory through fragments such as musk and incense. These sensory traces anchor the speaker's attempts to return to what was, while also acknowledging how memory continues to shape the ways we move through the present. Throughout the poems, quotations are integrated directly into the poetic body, weaving other voices and textual fragments into the work and expanding its dialogic nature. The 4th and final selection marks a shift in flight as the speaker travels to Guyana to visit her estranged father and present him with a collection of epistolary poems. Yet, the already absent father remains absent, even in his presence, remaining distant and narcissistic. Arisa's journey with Guyana, connecting and communicating with distant relatives, proves tumultuous as well. The book ultimately holds a profound duality, one that moves between longing for connection and the painful recognition of its limits and implications. The book itself becomes both a vessel for and a form of grief, bearing the labor and courage required to remember, reckon, and return. There is a cornucopia of one-liners in here that make your heart throb, that cut like a knife through sand or soothe your soul all in one go. The integration of Alain du Botton's quote, "Love is a skill," along with the line, "Forgiveness is a conjunction." Hell motherfucking yes. You can see the heart on the page, its veins branching into different realms and dimensions, into places that feel visceral and carry a presence that feels and is divine. I have also asked, as a fellow mother-father, am I a site of abandonment? And I think this book is for those who have asked themselves the same question, a question called forth by the absence of our parents and the reckonings that absence elicits. And the answer is always, as White reminds us through an individual lens, that we are enough. Enough to hold the child who longed and endured, and enough to carry forward the many selves who live within us, even though our daddies may be portraits. The way Arisa travels through language, guiding us into the room she names, into the car beside her, and into the memories themselves, creates a profound sense of presence. Melissa Phoebos, another writer I deeply admire, evokes this experience beautifully in her praise of the book, calling it precious medicine, a spell that made me more myself. I feel that too. Many of us feel seen by this work in the divinity and humanness that live within White's lyricism. Arisa, you are my favorite songbird. You make me listen with my whole body, through my eyes, and with my heart. Thank you for reminding us that we are sources of God. Thank you for your wisdom and for leading by example, showing us that the most important work that we can do for ourselves is to return to our own Rio. The questions we ask, the where, the why, and the how shape the muddy and rocky earth that is the riverbed of the who. Although the cover of this book is a graphite sketch, I have contributed to some of its wear and tear. It has traveled with me wherever I go, and people who truly know me know how I feel about caretaking my books. Arisa, I give you the deepest form of thanks from the whole of my heart for your words, your creations, and your spirit, and the study of your words remains a lifelong pursuit. You can purchase your own copy of Who's Your Daddy at augreybooks.com or find it at your local library. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 2, and I'll see you next time on Welcome to My Bookshelf.